Good morning. This is English 7 for April the 2nd. Open your book to page 181. Yesterday, I went over some of the answers, but I know the video cut out and I asked you to do some for homework, so I just want to make sure that I give you all of the answers. Number 14, I can't think of nothing else to do, can you? The word nothing needs to be marked out. That's a negative word, and we want to replace it with anything. The party of hunters had not hardly seen any game. We should have marked out the not. The Spanish settled in the Americas more earlier than any other group. Mark out the word more. We don't want to use more and earlier together, just one or the other. Okay? A lazy man won't never see God's blessing in his life. Never is an incorrect word. It's a double negative, so mark out never, and let's use the word ever. A lazy man won't ever see God's blessing in his life. And you know that's true, guys. You won't see God's blessing if you don't put forth some effort. Many promises in the Bibles are if. If you do this, then God does this. And you know, that's the way it is in life. If you want to have success, you have to put forth effort. You understand that in the terms of there are ways that different teachers try to make their classes interesting and more fun. Or maybe somebody has somebody saves their money so that they can buy something, a device of some kind. That is through a lot of hard work. Those things don't just happen by chance, okay? Let's look at the next one. It says, Abraham and Sarah had not had no children until Isaac was born. Take out the word not. And it says, Abraham and Sarah had no children until Isaac was born. Again, the way it was originally written was a double negative. Of all the host, Mr. Brady spoke the most friendliest. Take out the word most, because we don't use most and an EST word. There weren't scarcely any people around the house. Mark out the NT. There were scarcely any people. Number 21, of the 20 patients, Keegan was hurt more badly. Keegan wasn't hurt more badly. Keegan was hurt the worst. I couldn't do nothing to help her out of the predicament. Take out the word nothing. I couldn't do anything to help her out. Now you could have taken out the NT and said I could do nothing. But again, you had a double negative, so you had to take out one of the negative words. Turn the page for me and let's look at page 182. As you can see, we're getting ready to have an adverb test, okay? We're gonna have an adverb test and then we're gonna have a unit test as well. Let's look at number 1. It says, underline all the one-word adjectives. Then they want us to circle adverb phrases and put parentheses around adverb clauses. Well, let's talk about the difference. An adverb is a word that tells us what? Where, when, how often, to what extent, why, or under what condition. Remember, a single adverb usually answers the first 5. Where, when, how often, or to what extent. Now, adverbs always describe or modify what? An adverb tells us about the verb. It tells us about an adjective or another adverb, okay? What's the difference between an adverb phrase and an adverb clause? An adverb phrase is going to be a group of words, like a prepositional phrase, that describes our verb, our adjective, or another adverb. But an adverb clause must be a dependent clause, meaning it has a subject and a verb, but it cannot stand alone. And so therefore, that group of words tells us about something. Remember, what do adverb clauses begin with? They begin with a subordinating conjunction. Things like although, as well as, because. Those are some of the common ones, okay? Now, let's look at number one. I wrote it on the board so that we could do it together. I'll be doing it on the board while you do it in your book, okay? Sorrowfully, Jeremiah lamented about the Israelite nations. You know, Jeremiah was called the weeping prophet because he wept over his country. He wept over their sin. I wonder if we weep over our sin. Do you weep over your sin? Are you that sorry? Do you lament having hurt the Lord? I hope so. Look at that one. What's a word that is an adverb? Means it tells us where, when, how often, or to what extent. The first word we see is the word what? Sorrowful. Sorrowful tells us how he lamented. So let's underline that. Now there's a clue there in sorrowful. Sorrowful also ends in an ly. Most ly words are adverbs, okay? Let's just look again at that same sentence. This time, do you see a phrase, a prepositional phrase that describes the verb, an adjective, or another adverb? Sorrowfully, Jeremiah lamented about the Israelite nation. Sure, you see the phrase about the Israelite nation. You know that is because it's a prepositional phrase. What does about the Israelite nation tell us? It tells us about his lamenting. Why was he lamenting? He was lamenting about the Israelite nation. So look at the second one. Clayton ran swiftly to the church because he did not want to be late. Being on time is a wonderful characteristic, okay? What is the first word that you see that is an adverb, just a single word adverb? The word swiftly. Swiftly tells us how he ran. He ran swiftly, okay? Do you see a phrase, a prepositional phrase that's used as an adverb? Okay, hopefully you see the phrase to the church. To the church is an adverb phrase telling us where he ran. Where did he run? He ran to the church. Okay? Do you see anything else? See any other phrases? Any other individual words? No. Do you see a clause now? Yes, we have a clause. We know we have a clause because it begins with a subordinating junction. That subordinating junction is the word because, and we're going to put a bracket. Okay? Because he did not want to be late is our adverb clause. We know it's a clause because it has a subject, he, and the verb did want. Okay, that's my verb. So because he did not want to be late describes what? Why he ran. Why he ran. Let's look at number 3. Although the man was once blind, with the touch of the master, he could now see. That is a wonderful Bible story. I love to see how Jesus took care of people and how he met their needs, knowing that God's not a respecter of persons. So if he would respect that person's needs and he would help them with their needs, he's going to help me with my needs as well. And that's always a comfort to know. All right? Although the man once was blind, with the touch of the master, he could now see. I'm going to mark a clause. Do you see the clause? Hopefully you see the word although. Although is a subordinating conjunction in our clause. Although the man was once blind, I know that that's a dependent clause. It starts with a subordinating conjunction. It has the subject, man. It has the verb, was. This is a dependent clause. It cannot stand alone, and it begins with a subordinating conjunction. What does it tell me? Although the man once was blind, tells me what? Why he can see. All right? Look at that. Continue looking at that sentence. Okay? Do you see another clause? No, just the one clause. Do you see a phrase? Hopefully you did. There's a couple of different prepositional phrases, But remember, we're only looking for adverb phrases. The adverb phrase is with the touch of his hand. With the touch of his hand. Let me ask you a question. What is of the master? It is a prepositional phrase. So why is it not an adverb phrase? It's not an adverb phrase because it is an adjective phrase. What does of the master describe? It tells us whose touch. So of the master is an adjective phrase because it describes a noun or a pronoun. Okay? Continue looking at that sentence. Although the man once was blind, is our clause. With the touch is an adverb phrase. Of the master is an adjective phrase. Look at the rest of the sentence. He could now see. He could now see. There's one more adverb in our sentence. It is the word now. He could see when. He could see now. So now is also an adverb. Remember, what are the questions of an adverb? Where, when, how often, or to what extent. Okay, let's look at the next one. The monkey stared at me curiously. The monkey stared at me curiously. Well, what do you see? Do you see a prepositional phrase? Sure, you see at me. Now, what does at me describe? It describes where he stared, correct? So that means that at me is an adverb clause or an adverb phrase? It's an adverb phrase. It's an adverb because it describes stared. It's a phrase because it's a group of words that does not have a subject and a verb. If it had a subject and a verb, then it would be a clause. There's another adverb. Do you see it? Hopefully you chose the word curiously. Curiously. How did the monkey stare? He stared curiously. Look at your next one. The leper shouted for joy when he had been cleansed. Okay, so what do you see? For joy, okay? For joy is a prepositional phrase. What does for joy tell us? It tells us how he shouted. Since it's describing shouted, for joy is a phrase, an adverb phrase. Okay, what else do you see? Hopefully you see the word when. When is a subordinate clause. When he had been cleansed is a clause. It's a clause because it has a subject and a verb. The subject is he had been. He had been cleansed. Okay, that is our subject and our verb of our clause. What does when he had been cleansed tell us? It tells us under what condition did he shout after he had been cleansed. Okay, look at your book. Martha came into the room in which Mary was quietly listening to Jesus. Do you see an adverb clause? Remember, a clause has to begin with a subordinate conjunction, have a subject and a verb. There are no clauses in that sentence. What about phrases? Phrases are going to be prepositional phrases that describe the verb, an adjective, or another adverb. You should have found the phrase into the room. Into the room tells us where Martha came. Okay? What else? There's another phrase. To Jesus. To Jesus. To Jesus tells us about listening. Listening. Okay? Listening to whom? Okay, why was she listening? She was listening to Jesus. How was she listening? She was listening quietly. Underline the word quietly. Liam, the boy in the blue shirt, trusted Christ today during Bible class. First of all, this is not a question to Mark. I'm asking you. The boy in the blue shirt is a prepositional phrase. In the blue shirt. What does it describe? it describes boy. So boy, since it describes boy, and boy is a noun, in the blue shirt is a what kind of phrase? It is an adjective phrase. Very good. What is the boy in the blue shirt? It is in a positive, just clarifying who Liam is, or which Liam, okay? Liam, the boy in the blue shirt, trusted Christ today during Bible class. When did Liam trust? Today. Underline the word today. It's an adverb. When else did Liam trust? During Bible class. That's a prepositional phrase telling us when. The boys walked into the art gallery and looked about wonderingly. Into the art gallery is a what kind of phrase? Adjective or adverb? It is an adverb phrase telling us where they walked, so you should have circled it. What about the words about? He looked where? He looked about. Means he looked around, okay? So underline the word about. It is not a preposition here. I know it's not a preposition because it's not followed by a noun. In order to be a preposition, the preposition has to be followed by a noun. And if there's no noun after it, it cannot be serving as a preposition, okay? The word wonderingly tells me how he looked. So again, we're going to underline it. Our last sentence. Moses died in the land of Moab because he did not obey God. What is your phrase? In the land. He died where? In the land. In the land tells us where he died, so it is an adverb phrase. Next, we have a what? A clause. The clause is because he did not obey God. Okay? What is the adverb? There is a single adverb inside our clause. What is that? The word not. Remember, the words not, very, and to, spelled T-O-O, are always adverbs. Okay? We're going to pause here. We're going to come back for part 2.